Hi, Teacher Jella here. Do you know this book? The title is You Choose. So there is a woman that I follow on social media, and I also get weekly email from her. Last week, she mentioned this book. She had a toddler, and she said her toddler really loved this book. So I was curious, and I checked the book. So inside, it looks like this. It's one of the pages. So it doesn't have many words. It has a bunch of different pictures. Actually, it has just a few questions throughout the whole book. And the questions are like this. So on this page, the question is, if you could go anywhere, where would you go? And if you look at the pictures over here, it shows mountains or lake, mountain covered with snow, a bunch of different things, a bunch of possible answer to the question. If you could go anywhere, where would you go? So the pictures, the little pictures over here, they are working like the little hint for children. By seeing these pictures, children can think about different things and then they can recognize their own thoughts. For example, there's a mountain. Do I want to go to mountain? Oh, no, look at this. There's a lake. Do I want to go to lake? I think so. So these little pictures, they help them to think and they can recognize their own thoughts, recognize what they want. And it also provides children to express their own thoughts. So for example, if you could go anywhere, where would you go? So children can say, I would go to lake. I would go to the mountain. I would go to the mountain with snow. Things like that. So this book is really good for toddlers. If you want to improve your toddler's vocabulary or language skills, like understanding, also expressing their thoughts, this book is really, really good for that. And there are actually a few different ones. It's like a series. So here, this one is I think this is original one, You Choose. But there's also You Choose in Space, You Choose Your Dream, You Choose Fairy Tale. So around different themes. And the one that I was really interested was You Choose Your Dream, this one. You know, I love to talk about dreams. So I was interested in this one. So I checked it online, but unfortunately, I couldn't find the book. And it wasn't even available to buy online. It wasn't available on Canadian Amazon, but I saw it. It was available on Amazon US. Yeah, and I also couldn't find it in my local library. So unfortunately, I couldn't check the whole book. But I only saw a few pages on the Amazon US website. And one of the pages like this one. So the questions in this book are a little bit, it is a little different. They are more advanced. So questions are like this. Can you imagine being big? Can you imagine being small? And it also talks about inventing different machines or like really imaginative things. Like, can you imagine like living underground? Things like that. So the questions are, I would say the questions are more advanced. And I would recommend this book for preschoolers. If you can find the book. Yeah. I love books that make children imagine or being creative because isn't that the biggest value of reading books? Especially for children, because children have lived shorter time than adults, right? So the things in their head or in their mind are less than what we adults have seen in the world. But through books, children can experience things that they haven't experienced in their own lives, right? So, so I really recommend this book for preschoolers if you have a preschooler. And so I prepared an art activity that can go with this book. You know, this book is not a one-time reading book. As you see, there are many different things to talk about. So every time they open the book and read the book, it can be a different story. It's about expressing their thought. So it can be different every time they look at it. And if you feel like, since my child started reading this book, I feel like she is using more creativity and more imagination. If you feel like that, you know, we want to keep that creativity and imagination skills in them, right? We want to keep it in our children. So to help to do that, I recommend making this one. This is fairy lantern that I made. It's cute, right? All right, so let's look at the demonstration. All right, pretty simple, right? Yeah, it's really simple. So you can make a fairy lantern and you can leave it on your child's bedside, like beside bed or on a table or on a desk, so they can see it often. And I want you to remember this question. If a fairy comes and says, "Tell me anything you want, I will make it happen for you tonight," what would you say? So you can say this to your child, and or you can write it down, or I made a little sign. It's going to be available on the Everyday Fundy shop. So you can print that out and leave it with the fairy lantern. So the goal here is helping your child to remember this question. So when they see the fairy lantern, they can think of this question. If a fairy comes and says, "Tell me anything you want, I will make it happen for you tonight," then what would you say? You know, this is imaginative question. It triggers children's imagination. Ooh, fairy can do magics. Magics can do anything. What would I want? What would I want to happen? It can tap your child's imagination and creativity. I recommend to read this book, you choose your dream, and then make the fairy lantern together as well. So this fairy lantern would be a reminder for your child that we can imagine anything and our imagination is limitless. So today I talked about dreaming big, imagining, and being creative. So I hope today's video was helpful for you, and I'm going to see you next time. Bye. Oh, if you want to get the written guide for the activity, It's available on the Everyday Fun Day blog. So I'm gonna leave the link down below so you can check the blog post. There, you will also find the link to the Everyday Fun Day shop to get the templates for this activity.